There is a reason you clicked on this message today. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. And before you dismiss that as coincidence, listen carefully, because what you are about to hear is connected to a person who has already stepped onto the path that leads directly toward you. The person you are going to marry. The person whose name you do not fully know yet. The person whose face may still be hidden from you. The person whose actual age holds a clue that nobody has ever explained before. Stay with me, because the revelation does not happen all at once. It unfolds piece by piece. And by the end of this message, you may realize that someone you have overlooked, someone you never expected, or someone who has already crossed your path carries signs that match this description with shocking accuracy. Right now, somewhere, this future partner is thinking about their future. They do not know your full story. They do not know your struggles. They do not know how many nights you spent wondering whether love would ever arrive. But something inside them feels restless. Something inside them feels as though a chapter is about to begin. And the strange part is that you are feeling the same thing. You may have noticed it recently. An unusual curiosity. A sudden interest in relationships. Unexpected dreams. Repeated numbers. Memories appearing from nowhere. A feeling that something important is getting closer. That feeling is not random. Because the energy around your future marriage is becoming stronger. Now listen carefully. Many people imagine that the person they will marry must fit a perfect picture. They imagine a specific appearance. A specific age. A specific background. But life rarely follows those expectations. The person you are going to marry may surprise you in ways you never imagined. In fact, one of the biggest surprises involves their actual age. You see, most people focus on numbers. But the number itself is not the important part. The important part is what that number represents. Because your future spouse has lived through experiences that make them seem either much older or much younger than they truly are. When people first meet them, they often guess incorrectly. Some assume they are older because of their wisdom. Others assume they are younger because of their energy. Very few people guess correctly. And that is the first clue. This person carries a unique balance between maturity and youthfulness. They know how to be serious when necessary. But they also know how to laugh. How to enjoy simple moments. How to make difficult days feel lighter. Now here comes the shocking part. Many of you listening will discover that your future spouse is not the age you always imagined. The gap may be larger than expected. For some, they are older. For others, younger. Yet the connection between you will make the difference seem insignificant. Because the bond will be built on understanding rather than numbers. And when you finally meet or fully recognize this person, one thought will keep repeating in your mind. Why does it feel like I've known them forever? That feeling will not be an illusion. It will come from the incredible ease you experience around them. No games. No constant confusion. No exhausting uncertainty. Just a growing sense of peace. And peace is something many people underestimate. They chase excitement. They chase drama. They chase unpredictability. But lasting love often arrives disguised as peace. Now let me tell you something even more surprising. The person you are going to marry has already overcome a major disappointment. A disappointment that changed their perspective on relationships. It taught them patience. It taught them caution. It taught them the value of genuine connection. Because of that experience, they no longer waste time pretending to be someone they are not. They have become authentic. And authenticity is one of the qualities that will draw you toward them. You will feel it immediately. Not because they are perfect, but because they are real. Very real. Now pay attention to this next sign. This future spouse is someone who notices details. Small details. Things other people ignore. They remember conversations. They remember promises. They remember moments. And one day they will remember something about you that everyone else forgot. That single moment will touch your heart more deeply than you expect. Because it will show you that you are truly seen. Not judged. Not compared. Seen. There is another clue about their age. Although their actual age is important, their soul feels timeless. People often seek their advice. Friends trust them. Strangers open up to them. Even when they are not trying to help, people naturally feel comfortable around them. That quality cannot be faked. It comes from experience. It comes from growth. And it comes from lessons learned through challenges. Now I want you to imagine something. Imagine meeting someone who understands parts of you that you have never explained. Someone who notices when your smile is forced. Someone who senses when you need encouragement. Someone who knows how to support you without controlling you. That person exists. And their path is moving closer to yours. But here is the twist. The timing will not happen exactly when you expect. Many people delay their happiness because they keep staring at one closed door. Meanwhile, another door quietly opens. Your future spouse may arrive through an unexpected circumstance. A chance conversation. A recommendation. A workplace connection. A social event. A message. A journey. Something ordinary that becomes extraordinary. And when it happens, you may not realize its significance immediately. That is why you must pay attention. Because life-changing moments rarely announce themselves with fireworks. Sometimes they arrive disguised as ordinary days. Now let's talk about another powerful clue. The person you are going to marry has dreams they have not fully shared with anyone. Big dreams. Meaningful dreams. Dreams connected to building something lasting. They are not interested in temporary excitement. They want a future. A real future. A stable future. And when they talk about that future, you will notice something remarkable. They always imagine sharing it with someone. That someone is you. Even though they do not know it yet. Now listen carefully because this revelation surprises many people. Your future spouse has spent more time preparing for your relationship than you realize. Every lesson. Every challenge. Every disappointment. Every victory. All of it shaped them into the person they are becoming. The same is true for you. What feels like delay may actually be preparation. What feels like waiting may actually be growth. And one day you will look back and understand why certain relationships did not work. Why certain opportunities disappeared. Why certain chapters ended. Because they were making room for something better. Now I want to return to the question of age. Because this title brought you here for a reason. The actual age of your future spouse is not merely a number. It is a symbol. A symbol of timing. A symbol of readiness. A symbol of the season of life they are currently experiencing. Whether they are slightly older, slightly younger, or exactly the age you never expected. What matters is that their life is aligning with yours at precisely the right moment. And that alignment is far more powerful than coincidence. There is another detail you need to know. This person has a protective nature. When they care about someone, they care deeply. They do not abandon people during difficult seasons. They stay. They support. They encourage. That loyalty will become one of the strongest foundations of your relationship. Because loyalty is becoming increasingly rare. Yet this person values it immensely. Now imagine the day you finally realize who they are. The signs start connecting. The conversations become meaningful. The bond grows naturally. The comfort becomes undeniable. And suddenly you understand why nothing before them felt complete. Not because your past was meaningless, but because your future was waiting. Waiting for the right person. Waiting for the right timing. Waiting for the right connection. And then it happens. Not in a dramatic movie scene. Not in a perfect fantasy. But in real life. A real conversation. A real smile. A real moment. A real beginning. And from that moment forward, everything starts changing. You begin making plans together. You begin sharing dreams. You begin building memories. You begin creating a future. And eventually, you look across the room at the person you married and realize something astonishing. The age never mattered. The number never mattered. What mattered was the connection. The understanding. The loyalty. The trust. The timing. The love. And suddenly all the waiting makes sense. Every unanswered question. Every delayed opportunity. Every moment of uncertainty. It all leads here. To the person who was always moving closer. To the person whose path was quietly approaching yours. To the person whose age carried a clue. To the person whose arrival changes everything. And somewhere right now, while you are listening to these words, that future spouse is continuing their journey. Growing. Learning. Preparing. Moving one step closer to the moment your lives finally intersect. The moment that will seem ordinary at first, but later become one of the most important moments of your entire life. Because that is the day your story and their story stop being separate stories and become one. And yet, the most surprising part of this story has not been revealed. Because after hearing everything so far, you may think the mystery is simply about finding the person you will marry. It is not. The deeper mystery is why this person has remained hidden for so long. Why your paths have not fully crossed. Why the timing has felt delayed. Why the answers you wanted never arrived when you demanded them. Listen carefully. Because this is where the story becomes truly extraordinary. The person you are going to marry has been standing at the edge of a major life transition. A transition so significant that it has affected every area of their future. Including their future with you. Right now, they are closing a chapter. A chapter they once believed would define their entire life. For some of them, it involves a career change. For others, it involves a relocation. For others, it involves walking away from people who no longer belong in their future. Whatever the situation may be, they are releasing something old so they can step into something new. And that, something new, eventually includes you. This is why the timing has felt strange. Because before they could find you, they first had to find themselves. And before you could recognize them, you had to become the version of yourself capable of receiving the relationship you truly deserve. Now here's where things become shocking. There is a high chance that this person has already seen you. Not necessarily spoken to you. Not necessarily met you properly. But seen you. Perhaps briefly. Perhaps accidentally. Perhaps in a way that seemed insignificant at the time. A passing encounter. A shared environment. A mutual connection. A photograph. A social media interaction. A moment that felt ordinary. But ordinary moments often hide extraordinary beginnings. Many great love stories begin with an unnoticed first encounter. A glance. A brief exchange. A moment neither person fully understood. Until later. Much later. And when the truth finally becomes clear, both people often say the same thing. We crossed paths before. That realization sends chills through them. Because suddenly all the pieces begin fitting together. Now pay attention. Your future spouse carries a quiet strength. Not the kind that seeks attention. Not the kind that demands recognition. The kind that remains calm when others panic. The kind that keeps moving when others quit. The kind that survives storms without announcing every battle. That strength was earned. It came through challenges. Through disappointments. Through moments when nobody knew what they were carrying. But those experiences shaped them. Refined them. Prepared them. And one day you will benefit from that strength in ways you cannot yet imagine. Because there will be moments when you feel uncertain. Moments when life becomes overwhelming. Moments when you question yourself. And during those moments, this person will become a source of stability. Not because they have all the answers. But because they know how to stand firm. Now let's return to the question that brought you here. The actual age of the person you are going to marry. There is a reason this detail keeps appearing. Because age represents seasons. And your future spouse is entering a season unlike any they have experienced before. A season of readiness. A season of clarity. A season of commitment. For years they may have focused on other priorities. Work. responsibilities, healing, growth, goals. But something is shifting. Their attention is beginning to move toward partnership, toward family, toward building a life with someone meaningful, toward building a life with you. And that shift changes everything. Because when someone becomes ready for genuine love, they stop settling for temporary connections. They stop chasing people who cannot meet them halfway. They stop wasting energy on uncertainty. Instead, they start recognizing what truly matters. Trust, respect, communication, loyalty, shared values. And these are exactly the qualities that will bring the two of you together. Now here is another clue. This future spouse is not impressed by appearances alone. Many people are distracted by surface-level things. But not them. They look deeper. They pay attention to character, to integrity, to kindness, to consistency. And one day they will notice something about you that others overlook. That observation will become one of the reasons they feel drawn toward you. Not because of perfection, but because of authenticity. Because beneath everything else, they value what is real. Now imagine this scene. A conversation begins. Nothing dramatic. Nothing forced. Just two people talking. Minutes become hours. Hours feel like minutes. The connection feels natural, comfortable, effortless. And afterward, both of you continue thinking about the conversation. Not because something extraordinary happened, but because something felt different. Something felt genuine. Something felt rare. That is how many meaningful relationships begin. Not with fireworks, but with recognition. Recognition of a connection that feels familiar. Recognition of a person who feels safe. Recognition of a bond that feels worth exploring. Now listen closely because this next revelation surprises many people. Your future spouse has spent years wondering whether someone like you exists. Just as you have wondered about them. They have experienced disappointment. Moments of loneliness. Moments of doubt. Moments when they questioned whether real love was possible. Yet despite everything, they never completely gave up. Part of them continued believing. Continued hoping. Continued waiting. And that hope has quietly guided them toward this future. Toward you. Now here comes something few people expect. The relationship itself will not be perfect. No real relationship is. There will be disagreements, challenges, misunderstandings, moments that require patience. But what makes this connection different is the willingness to work through those moments together. Because both of you will value the relationship enough to protect it. Enough to nurture it. Enough to grow through difficulties rather than run from them. That is what creates lasting love. Not perfection. Commitment. Not fantasy. Partnership. Not constant agreement. Mutual respect. And those qualities become stronger with time. Now think about your own journey. Every experience. Every lesson. every disappointment, every victory. Everything you have lived through has prepared you for a future chapter. A chapter that has not yet fully arrived, but is moving closer every day. The same is true for your future spouse. Their journey and your journey have been unfolding separately. Two different stories. Two different paths. Two different sets of experiences. Yet both paths have been moving toward the same destination. The same meeting point. The same future. And when those paths finally merge, neither of you will fully understand how many events had to align for that moment to happen. How many decisions. How many delays. How many unexpected twists. How many hidden blessings. All working together behind the scenes. Now there is one final clue. The person you are going to marry possesses a quality that becomes increasingly rare in today's world. They are sincere. What they say, they mean. What they promise, they try to fulfill. What they feel, they express honestly. And that sincerity will become one of the things you admire most about them. Because sincerity creates trust. And trust creates security. And security allows love to grow. Not quickly. Not recklessly. But deeply. And deep love is the kind that lasts. So as this message comes to an end, remember this. The mystery was never really about discovering an exact number. The mystery was about understanding the person connected to that number. The person behind the age. The person behind the future. The person whose life is quietly moving toward yours. A person with dreams. A person with scars. A person with hopes. A person with lessons learned. A person becoming ready for a new chapter. A chapter that includes you. And somewhere, at this very moment, they are living another ordinary day. Perhaps working. Perhaps studying. Perhaps traveling. Perhaps planning something important. Completely unaware that their future is already unfolding. Completely unaware that their story is slowly moving toward yours. But one day they will know. One day you will know. And when that day arrives, the waiting will make sense. The delays will make sense. The unanswered questions will make sense. Because the person you are going to marry was never truly far away. They were simply becoming who they needed to become before entering your life. And you were doing the very same thing. Two journeys. Two stories. Two lives. Moving steadily toward one unforgettable beginning.